Welcome to another episode of Tech Talk. Remember, my members always get to see my new videos first. Subscribe at www.patreon.com/12voltvids to see my newest videos about up to a week before they become public. So let's take a look and see what we got on tonight's show. It's a Magnavox CDB586, a CD changer that uses the disc magazine. Let's load it up with CDs and see what's wrong with this one. I've got two Music Bakery discs. I have to load these with the label facing down, like the Pioneer units. Okay, that one's playing. We'll change to the next disc and see if the next one plays. Okay, that disc is playing as well. Let's see if it'll open. Oh, it appears to be working. I wonder what the problem with this is. I wonder if it's the belt. I bet you. Yeah, that's what it is. It's the belt. That's exactly what it is. It's not ejecting. See? It did that one time, but now it's slipping. Let's pull the top off. This one should be a relatively simple fix. It's just a slipping belt, I believe. Of course, I have to curse Philips with their stupid Torx screws. Fortunately, I just so happen that I've got the correct bit that goes in my noisy cordless screwdriver. It should be this belt right here, I think. Nice, easy one to change. Oh, it's not that belt. That one's not slipping. There must be another one in here. Maybe this one over here. Which one actually? This one over here. This one's slipping. I don't think it's the belt actually that's slipping at all. I think it's the tray is stuck. There should be a spring, I think, that pushes this out. It's releasing, it's just that the tray is not coming out. It's raised up all the way, too. It's not like anything is slipping. This is the elevator belt that brings it all the way up. It's just not ejecting. I think it's this tray here. I think it's the cartridge is deformed. Looks like it's bowed down here at the bottom, like it's sticking. That's what it looks like. That looks to be the problem right there. This cartridge is... Interesting. Well, now it's... I don't know how that magazine got popped like that, but it still sticks a bit. So I'm going to pull the bottom off it. I think we're going to have to lubricate the mechanism on this one. There's grease that gets gummed up like on the old dual turntables that needs to be taken off and re-lubed, as it does cause problems on these. So let's tackle that problem. So to get at the mechanism itself, we're going to remove the screws and then remove the bottom plate, and it lifts up on the right side and slides out like that from the left. And you see the white cam gear there, that's the one that needs to be cleaned up. We're gonna clear up, lubricate this mechanism, because this grease has really dried up. In fact, that's probably more of a factor than the belt. Even though the belt was slipping a bit, it might have been slipping more from the dried grease here. See, this is the cam here that moves back and forth to release the mechanism. That microphone definitely has to go. It's in the way. I'm using the headset mic. Maybe I'll use the lapel mic next for the next one, but the headset mic definitely has to go because it gets in the way. I'm always bumping it and breathing on it, and it's just in the way when I'm working. And that's why in the past I haven't used a mic. I've used the mic on the camera just because I find that wearing a microphone when I'm working on stuff generally tends to get in the way. So I'm just cleaning the grease off. I'm going to work the mechanism through by hand, and then I'm going to put some new Molykote grease on the mechanism. And that should solve all the issues that this thing's been having. Hopefully it'll solve all the issues. That grease was pretty tacky. Like when I just wiped it in my fingers, it was not very slippery. It was very it almost felt almost like a wax. It had become quite gooey and sticky, like the that's what happened on a lot of old VCRs, right? That black molybdenum crap that would dry up, and then the grease that was used on the old dual turntables, exactly the same, where it would get gummed up and then the mechanism would stick. So whenever you see this old dried grease, you got to get rid of it and lubricate it again with plastic safe lubricant, of course. I'm going to put some Molykote grease into the mechanism here, onto the slide, and into the gears. you certainly don't want to put on too much grease, because too much grease is worse than not enough in some cases. But as long as you get all of the surfaces that make contact with each other, get some grease on it as the mechanism operates, it will spread the grease out throughout the entire mechanism. So it doesn't take much, just a little bit on the teeth of the gear, for example. That'll spread out through all the gears as the mechanism. It'll spread out through everything as the mechanism moves, and on the slide cam there. That metal spring near the front, that's the spring that ejects the tray. So that's the most critical part, because that's where there's going to be the most amount of stress. It lifts that cam up and or lifts that lever up and pulls against the spring, which releases the cartridge. There, that's looking a little better. So I first thought maybe the belt was slipping, but there actually is a fair bit of torque on here. If I try to hold it by my finger, for example, it's got a fair bit of torque on the belt. It is designed, obviously, to, when it hits the end of its travel, the motor's still pulling on it a bit, it's going to slip a little bit. That's the way it's designed. But as you can see, it does have plenty of torque. And this is actually what loads the disc too. So if I hold it, you'll see, I have to actually put quite a bit of force on that pulley to stop the belt from turning. So there is plenty of torque on it. But I think this one here, our problem on this was just the gummed up mechanism. That old grease had dried up and was getting sticky. And when it was sticky, even though it reached the end of its travel to release the catch because the cartridge is spring, you press it in with a spring and the spring pulls it out, it releases the catch, and then the spring pops the cassette out, but it wasn't releasing the catch. It was hitting the end of the travel, but it wasn't releasing the catch. Right down here, this is the part that opens. This is what opens the door and releases the cartridge. Right, and that wasn't. It was sticking right here. It wasn't releasing this catch. And then when we put the cassette in, and when I open it, see, like that, and it ejects it. Power's off on the unit, by the way, now. In case anyone's concerned, the power is off. Torques. A dumb, stupid screw. Actually, torques aren't so bad. They're just an improvement on a better screw. Where am I here? Anybody know what the better screw is? Any guesses? I'll let you in on a clue. That would be the Robertson screw. Square. Well, it's not actually square, because a square head is a different type. A Robertson screw actually is it's got a beveled bit. So with a proper Robertson screwdriver, like this one, this is a real Robertson screwdriver, and all Robertson screwdrivers are made in Canada. Right there, Canadian made. It's because the Robertson screw was developed in Canada. And it's the only one like it. But it'll hold a proper Robertson screw. It'll hold it. No magnets or anything. It'll just hold it onto the end of the bit, because it does have a slight, as you can see, it's not completely square. Anyway, the Torx screw was developed like the Robertson, but as to not infringe on patents. And basically they took two Robertsons and they turned them slightly. They made it into an 8-point instead of a 4. But like a Robertson screw, it is beveled, and it will actually hold the screw in the end of the bit. Torx screws are good, except for the problem with Torx screws is that really, other than Philips, there's not too many companies that use them, and they use them in European-made, such as this one, made in Belgium, products. The Torx screw has caught on quite well over in Europe. In North America, it hasn't done nearly as well. It is used in the automotive industry a bit, but most of the stuff we see is those god-awful Philips screws, which are terrible. And of course the hex bolt, the most common size being the 1/4-inch drive, which was used on a lot of televisions. A lot of American televisions use the 1/4-inch hex bolt. So I'm going to put this unit back together and let it play for a while. Make sure that the problems were all resolved. But it is loading and ejecting the cartridge now properly, whereas it wasn't before. So I'm pretty confident that the problem with this one is now solved. Thanks for watching, and we'll catch you again in the next one real soon. And incidentally, these are really good CD players. If you get your hands on one of these ones, they are very sought after because of the D to A converter in them is a very nice sounding D to A converter. So these units here are actually quite sought after. If you can find one of these ones, the CDB586, you'll be very happy with the sound off of one of these units if you can find one. Thanks for watching. We'll catch you in the next one real quick. Bye for now.